Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus on this cold, cold night here in Minnesota. I want to thank you so very much for giving me a moment of your time. And my reason for coming to you today is that I want to share something with you that's very important to all of us. My friends and my sisters and my brothers, many times I've talked to you, and I've been talking to you a lot of times as if you were children. Sometimes just screamed at you. And sometimes even did a little cussing. And I did that because I love you. Well, you don't believe that, and I might not love all of you, but I did it because the power that I work for loves you, every last one of you. There's not a single individual on the face of the earth. I don't care how good you think you are or how bad you know you are. The power that made you loves you. And because of that love, all of those things that are available for anybody on the face of the earth to cause them to experience heaven is there for you as well. The big mystery, my friends, though, is that in order for any of you to experience heaven, all of you are going to have to work together. And it is going to begin with those who know God and become the material that leads to those who remember to act like you remember. You know, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Day. Dr. Martin Luther King happened to come along. I was living in Mississippi, a teenager, and voting rights. They were fighting hard for the voting rights, and people in Mississippi in the cotton fields are living in the country. You know, many of them couldn't write. Many of them could, but some of them used X's. And it was a requirement, if I'm not mistaken, that back in those days, in order to vote, especially if you were black, in the state of Mississippi, you had to recite the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. Now, how many of you know the preamble to the Constitution? You might say, we the people. A lot of you don't get any further than that. But they were fighting to see if they could get that stuff eliminated and make it easier for people to participate in the political process. And so young people would be used in the administration of education to those who wanted to vote, who wanted to be ready. They bring them into centers and stuff, and we would teach them how to write their names. That's how we got involved in the beginning, in the process of teaching people how to write their names so that they could sign whatever papers had to be signed and vote. And all of these years later, what are the main things that are being perpetrated against the people in regards to having a voice in the political process? And that's to curtail the vote, to make it very, very hard and very, very difficult for you to vote. They won't take away the vote, they just take away the availability for you to vote, which is the same thing. But they say they honored the law. They did not break the law. See, ladies and gentlemen, that's the thing about it. You can break the law, you can change the law, you can go around the law, or you can just try to maneuver yourself in such a way that you don't actually violate the words of the law, but the spirit probably is the same as the words. This is why I say to all of you, the Republican Party, those of you who are watching it now, if you're not a Republican, and many of you still are Republicans, you see some of the most evil things happening in your party that you've ever seen in your life. It's the craziest crap. And the man that's leading it wants the world to think he is the dumbest, the stupid, the most ignorant thing on the face of the earth. Has to, because of the things that he says. He says it, and people believe in it. And he knows that he's lying, and people shout. Many of them know that he's lying, and many of them think that he's telling the truth. Whatever, they get excited about it. So you can't expect any help from the Republican Party as far as you, the people here in the United States of America, looking for a better life, looking for our life. You can't expect anything from those who are represented in the Republican Party. Their charge is to make you maybe 3/5 of a citizen, or maybe even less. So you can't expect anything. And then we want to look at the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has no halo around itself. Been very, very successful in the maintenance of that same project that the Republicans have been dealing with as far as people of color are concerned for all of this time. They've been partners in it. And you and I and those who are being disenfranchised today, are we any closer to either of them, or is either of them any closer to us today, having gone through all of that? The truth of the matter is that for all of those years, we've never had anyone to reach out a helping hand and say, brother, it's over. Today is a brand new day, and we can go forward now with a life that's celebratory. You know what I mean? No, none have done that. It doesn't matter. We haven't given up hope. We go from generation and century, believing that one day that we will be free. We had this man whom we celebrated yesterday who went to the pinnacle and says, I see the promised land, and we as a people will get there. Now, it's been many years. Somebody I heard say the other day that he was gunned down and that perhaps he fell back down the hill. No, he did not fall down the hill. Those who were led up there by him fell back down the hill. Oh, when they shot him and killed him, he tumbled over into paradise. A sure paradise made by spiritual beings that you and I cannot see. But I can guarantee you that the Father of us all is capable and able and is love. So I'm basically saying, in a lot of words, that the Democratic Party, you can't count on it for your liberation, the kind that you pray for. No, it doesn't matter whether they try to be a little bit more compassionate and with more empathetic views toward the people that hurt than the others. But we still come up short. We still come up lacking. We still are wondering when is that time going to come. And we thought maybe perhaps it would come when they allowed a black man to become president of the United States. Something we just couldn't believe until we saw white people voting for him. When we saw white people speaking for him. When we saw white people excited about him, then we began to believe that it was possible. And so as we watched the show, as it moved on through life, and then that moment in time when it burst in reality in the whole world, it appeared, was as excited could be. We have for us the black president of the United States, and we know we're black people. We're a little bit different than white people. We're more compassionate. We care more. We even sing gospel songs. We even love God. We love Christian God more than white people who told us about God. So we now have a black president of the United States. He didn't come in like Donald Trump, claiming all of the haters and racists and bigots and saying, let's go do it. He came in still talking about we, the people of the United States of America. That's what he talked about. He looked at us as black people. He didn't say we're special. He didn't take away that either. But he didn't say the white people were special. He said we, the people of the United States. And he began to try to do the kinds of things that were possible for him to do at the moment in time for the people, we the people. And there was those who were set out at that moment in time to block and tear down everything that he would try to do. And it happened to have been those associated with the Republican Party, the Tea Party, etc., etc. And they weren't just attacking him, ladies and gentlemen, they were attacking you. They were all that he could have done, they could have done together for us was blocked because of those, for one reason or another, who said, no way. And so they were saying no way to us. Here again, we got the Republican Party, we got the Democratic Party, and not only that, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, we look at and say, well, maybe there are those that would tell us what God says. And we look out for God to come to be the answer according to the dictates and words and expressed through these individuals that hold themselves out in such a way that the people of the nation just are drawn to them and are willing to do any and everything they ask them to do. But in all of their doing, we the people are still lacking. We the people still are hoping. Well, I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, They who you thought were talking about God were over there with haters, with racists and bigots, doing and believing exactly what they were doing. But there were those over here, black and white, on the Democratic side, doing exactly what the Democrats were doing. Oh, they were aware. They got their gatherings on the days and did what they have always done. But at the end of the day and at the beginning of the morning, here we are, still lacking. We as a people, those who have been disenfranchised, who have been brought down to a very low state as far as social existence is concerned. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, what I learned from my brother, whom we celebrated yesterday, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I want you to know that I am a brother with not only Mahatma Gandhi, but my brother, Malcolm X. And I feel some kind of kinship with John Brown for some strange reason. I don't really know if the story is true. But for some way, somehow, it touched me. And so I kind of feel that John Brown deserves to be honored for what I do know. And what I do know is this, ladies and gentlemen. The people, as far as politics are concerned, are not going to come for us. We can stop hoping in that. The world was designed to keep it just like it is or to go worse. And to go worse is more than that probable. Look at Russia. Look the situation that it is in. Look at the head. Look at North Korea. I don't know if the stories are true. This stuff is stuff I hear, read, I believe. But I don't know. People are really going through some changes. We think about China. We think about, I'm just mentioning these places because they talk about them and we might all be familiar with them. But there are others, Asia everywhere, Africa everywhere people are. We're going through the same kind of challenges and we are all wishing and hoping that something will come to liberate us from this pastoral hell. Because it is that when we consider what we're going through to what we could do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take the time to tell you that there is a power that we can't see, we can't touch, we cannot feel, but the evidence of that power stands right here before you speaking to you. Not only that, stand right there with you, listening to me speaking to you. Magnificent power, ladies and gentlemen. From the beginning that we started, we still are. Everlasting, it appears. So far it is. All of the things that are necessary to keep us here, whether we want to be here or not, because those things are available to us, we make the decision. And as we make the decision, we use those decisions to be a cause for the manifestation for this particular hell that we experience every day. Now, I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, why do we do this stuff? We do it because we think we're doing something. Who is to tell us about God? The one that tells about God talk about dying and going someplace. Or if he's not talking about dying and going someplace, he's talking about conning you, taking your own. Brothers, I hate to say this about you, but this is exactly what you're doing. You're conning the people, taking their money, riding around in planes and talking about some God that you know means nothing to anybody but you. It's an evil spirit that is possessing people that would abuse other folks just so they can ride around and call themselves big shots. It is an evil spirit, but hey, you can't be upset. Don't be mad with me. You didn't do it. It was put on you. From the day you came into this world, it was put on you. You've been a victim ever since you've been in this life. Nobody has come to liberate you in such a way that there would be masses moving this way. Every time somebody comes this way to show you a different path, to lead you in a path that you can walk step by step and feeling good by yourself and knowing that everything that you do is done with that of others. And the heaven that you've been looking for, dreaming for, is in your reality right now because your hands made it. And that's all your hands. Everything that exists belongs to all of you to use when you see fit. You ask your permission, you got it, heaven is set up. Nobody's trying to say you can't do this, I don't want you to do this for this reason or that reason, and because of that you are hurting. And they get away with it. The Justice Department commit some heinous crime. They on you just like that. They got you. Yet something has happened because there are some people right around here now that's been doing a lot of evil stuff. Stuff that's detrimental to this nation, but I mean, it's just a part of all the other stuff that's detrimental to this nation that usually stands up because of its hatred for people of a different color. But that might just be an excuse. Everything else is. Because what they're truly concerned about is M-O-N-E-Y, money. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what do you do in a situation like that? This message that I tell you, according to my brother yesterday, you got to resist. Now, heaven is easy. The standing up, the organization is basically, we can use the principles that already exist, even the institutions. Some we won't need, so we won't use those. But the certain departments that we do need, we use those. The goal is just different. Before it was hustling, trying to make money. It was taking advantage of anything you could, trying to make money. But now you're giving the best you got to get the best you want. And what do you want? The very best. When you study for medicine, what do you want? The very best. You're not looking for some medicine that you can change the price from $7 to $500, $600, or $1,000 just to make money. No. When you're doing your stuff, you're doing it because you're the best. And you want the world to know that you're the best. Why? Because you're going to do the best. And so rather than making medicine, you're getting cures. Sicknesses now are being mastered. Why? Because you took care of business. You got these little dogs and stuff walking around here, robots, robot dogs, for money. And for people to use it. That, people will use it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting much money, but they will use it. Why? To kill other people. Ladies and gentlemen, here's something in it. They'll use it to kill other people, to take what they got so they can have more. Isn't that something? Pain and suffering. This is the way of the world. But if you stand up, if you just stand up and say, I want my dream to come true. And what is my dream? My dream is to have my needs and my wants and my desires met. Wow. And then think, how can I get that done? And you say, I need some help. How can I get it done? And you look around and you ask one another, can you help me realize my dream? That's what you're saying to each other. Can you help me realize my dream? And we look at one another and say, yes. And we do stuff, organize. Hey, what is it? Let me show you how simple it is. You open up and allow every individual to choose a career that is giving them their greatest joy. That's how it works. You draw the people to do the best things in the best areas by offering everybody the opportunity to be what they would be the best at, that would give them the greatest joy. And the best would be in right in those places, in those positions, taking care and giving the best. But when someone like that comes around and tell you that, and somebody start following, then someone that's going to keep you enslaved them comes around and take their lives. They really doing that to stop you. They realize that the one that they're killing is not dying. They know that. They know that that one is lifted up into glory. They know it. But they know you don't know it. And so they do it to scare you. And so you walk around believing that and hoping that somebody's going to come through. No, ladies and gentlemen, this is the straight and narrow way. This ain't no broad way. This is the straight and narrow way. What that basically means that each and every last one of you got to stand up. Each and every last one of you got to wake up. Each and every last one of you got to be born again. You got to start acting like new people who are wanting a better thing and going to give it your best. That's what you got to start doing before you get it. Nobody's going to give you that. Are you out of your mind? Going to sit down and give you paradise. What are you going to do with something that somebody gives you? It doesn't mean anything to you. Somebody give you paradise. It doesn't mean a thing to you. But when you come together, not hustling, not sweating, because you're working this thing out together, and you're getting joy in everything you do, it means something to you. And it's simple. And you have no reason to do otherwise. So my friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying to you today, you need some action taking place. You need the Justice Department protecting you from these who out here with guns and getting bombs and stuff and want to kill you. You need the Justice Department to identify them and pull them out of the way so they don't be out here harming you. If you got some people out here in this government system that says they want to keep you in bondage and they want to, then you have to just say, well, that's not going to happen. And what do? You start representing the best way for things to happen. Don't be out there fussing, fighting like some old cats and dogs. Stand up, resist that stuff, and show them the best way. Show them that what they're fighting for is nothing compared to what's available to them. And mean it. And as you stand up boldly, and those blind ones who couldn't see, those deaf ones who couldn't hear, begin to understand a new message based on your actions, not your words. And they will be drawn. They might try to be a part of that straight and narrow, bringing that Broadway with them. But that Broadway, my friend, gets over there, will learn the same thing that you learned. The straight and narrow is the only way. And that's what you are doing. So what you've done got them from over there to over here. What you keep on doing is going to be the thing that changes them, change their minds, and they become new creatures. Well, I woke up this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I asked my wife to cry with me. I guess she thought that was funny. I felt like I just wanted to cry out the pain that I feel when I think about all the crap. And see, ladies and gentlemen, I see crap. Mostly everything I see is substandard to me. To me, it is nothing compared to the real deal. And you think you got something going, it's nothing. To me, that's what I'm saying. This is why I stand before you telling you this. I know you don't know how wonderful it can be. You've been limited. You see a kid coming to the world, 2, 3, 4 years old, play piano like you say, with your mouths open. How can that be? That guy has something going on. And you, my friends, don't believe you can have something going on. Why? Because it's something. I think, let me see. How do I say this? Let me say it like this. I wasn't always like this. No, baby. I wasn't always like this. I'm just like everybody else. But the thing that made a difference in my life is a miracle. Now, you know what a miracle is. A miracle is something that is evident, that you know no other way can it be done except a miracle. So once you know a miracle exists, you know things don't just happen. There's a cause. And a cause that makes a miracle got to be much more powerful than I and any of us. And because that power has been made available to me in such a way that I understand its existence, and I expect and respect that power, expecting that power to be a source to guide my thinking, to guide my heart, to guide my actions. So the words that I say to you mean something, even if you don't get up and see, it's something else. Like when I was asking my wife to cry with me, see, I talk about this heavenly stuff and having all the wonderful things of life, but I'm not the guy that goes out there and get in the plane and all that kind of stuff. My idea is that we struggle together until we grow together and make things happen together. No, I don't want to be out here with riding and call myself all of that. You know, we have certain things to do, but not calling myself all of that. I'm some big shot. I ain't got a nickel of bucket to pee in. But the point of it is, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have to do this. No government, no democracy, no socialistic, no dictatorship, no government is going to give us our dream. We are going to have to create our dream and create it together. There ain't no people over here better than somebody else. Look, sisters and brothers, we need each other on this mission, on this journey. We need each other. So we can forget that other stuff. And so I'm inviting you. I'm calling you in. I'm saying, let us do it today. You young guys out there, I realize what you're doing. You know, you're young. got your muscles and stuff flowing, you look good, your women, you're looking real good, and you guys are drawn to one another, you got dreams, aspirations, and you're doing those things, but yet still, you can't stay away from the pudding. You know what I mean? Well, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, slow it up, slow the up, because after a while, if we don't take care of the business, you're going to be old just like me. And things are going to be worse then, perhaps, than they are now. That's the way that ship is riding. And if it is, you're going to find yourself really going through some changes. And I don't want you to go through those changes, because I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't worth it. You can slow it up right now and change the world. Let us all do it together right now. You know, I realize that right now in America, they're trying to set the political process up with dealing with votes so that the liars and the cheaters and the thieves can just get into positions of power, and you get the biggest voice of that kind of stuff running for office. And you make sure by doing whatever you have to do, make sure that person gets in office. And then they rule over the rest. Now, you think anybody that know a God would let some evil stuff like that happen to them? How in the world can any man who ever called himself a decent person stand up and advocate for so much evil? I mean, look like even though you were trained, even though you were brought up that way, it looks like there should be something in you that's a shame mechanism will go off. And you just say, no, I don't want to be seen like that. I ain't going out like that. And you can become a part right away. We're all going to have to do it. We're all going to have to come together. And it might take a flood. It might take a storm to bring us down to just one or two. And we start all over one or two. But there are many of us right now. And you see, I'm skipping over a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. You see the tanks that's moving over the Russian borders? You see that? That's a sign of aggression. That's a sign of man's power. That's the sign of evil finna come and try to cause some pain and suffering to somebody else because they won't do what they want them to do. Rest of the world wonder, well, what can we do? Let's starve their people. Put some sanctions on them. Do what we can to deny them resources. Now, these people are hurting other folks, and we are hurting their people through the sanctions. And what? Nothing changes. Nothing changes. What if you tried God's way? What if you just said, we're going to stop this? We're going to fix this problem. Change, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time, and I hope it's been as entertaining as it has been a real statement of truth to me. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.